And we are back.
We are back, bumble bitches.
Yeah. It feels like it's been forever. It's been like 10 days. It's been like 2 weeks, but
I feel weird slouching in my chair.
Shout out to PJ's Creation. She's pregnant.
I know. Husband just pointed that out in the chat. Congratulations.
So we are going to do a little bit of Thailand talk, and then we're going to jump into episode 47 of the To Be Better podcast. And I'm going to leave that whole "you're pregnant" thing in there, just so everybody knows that PJ's Creations is pregnant.
Woo woo. Whole new life endeavor.
Unless she in the chat says not to. So first of all, shout out to Lorna, who's in the chat right now, who came to Thailand with us.
Oh gosh, absolutely adore her.
Sucks being home.
I hate it.
Such
I miss all of them.
I've stated in the Thailand chat quite a bit that I could 100% live at that hotel.
Yeah.
It's cheap enough that we could live there. It would probably be cheaper than living here.
Yeah. Kids would have a blast in Thailand.
Yeah.
Oh, the dreams.
Yeah.
I hate that everyone's so far away. That's the worst part. That's what I hate. Can't just be like, hey, Lorna, come over and let's watch the first 3 Saw movies back to back.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Thailand.
Life-changing.
Yeah?
Yeah. I am still feeling the reverberations of the learning experience or experiences I had out there. It's a lot to process. Had a blast.
Yeah.
Had an absolute blast. The group of people, I don't know. I feel like all the planets aligned.
There's no weirdness.
No, it felt like a family reunion.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a story because I think about it and it still makes me laugh. It was like 10:30 at night and we were all sitting by the pool having a little smoke sesh. And one of the couples, Ryan and Zoe, were talking about their experience with the massage therapy. And Zoe's giving this very descriptive, like, manhandle, brutal happenstance of this woman, like, knees on the back of her thighs and, like, and her husband goes, yeah, I saw all of that. I didn't check that box. And then just talked about this really nice massage experience. And I was like, I'm so glad that I got to experience that by proxy of this story.
Yeah, so that you weren't the one that had to check the box.
Right.
Yeah.
It was fun. She got I believe it was a true Thai massage. Like, just got it. And he was like, I did not.
That's what I would have went for if I could have handled it.
Yeah.
Back in. Costa Rica sold out.
I know. Don't we have like 5 people on 6?
2 couples and two singles. I have a call today with the company that we use, and I'm fairly certain they're going to try to sell us on another trip.
What time is that call?
4:00.
Ooh, okay.
Dakota will be here probably in the next hour and a half with Ivy, so you'll get your dog back.
Oh, I can't wait. I miss her so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. She might be a little sad that Lilo's not here. Yeah.
I think that's going to be the least of her attention.
Yeah.
You haven't seen her in 10 days, 12 days or something.
Longer than that, yeah.
So I think that we should do a standalone episode about Thailand.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's way too much to talk about.
It really is, and I don't want to take away from it. So is there anything that you want to talk about now before we jump into the actual episode?
Coming back to normal life has been brutal.
Yeah, it has.
Oh my gosh. I haven't slept in past 4 a.m. except for one day.
Today was the first time I've slept in past 4.
Yeah.
Slept till 5. What'd you do?
There were the first day we got back.
2 a.m.
We were up at 2 a.m. We got so much done. Yeah. I felt so productive that day. And then I had to wait 10 hours to pick up the kids from school. I was like, what do I do? I don't know. It was crazy. Waking up at 4 a.m., though, hasn't been bad for me.
No?
It was nice decompression time. The kids got up early. We went for a walk before school. They loved it.
I get a lot done in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home cooked meals. How have home cooked meals been since we got back from Thailand?
They're good. It's nice having like actual food. This is a Thailand conversation.
Okay, never mind. I've enjoyed cooking since we've gotten back.
Yeah.
I have like a refreshed.
Yeah. Well, that's
outlook.
not a Thailand conversation. Me talking about our food
Okay.
would have been a Thailand conversation.
I have a refreshed outlook on cooking again. Yeah.
Why?
That Thai cooking class that we did, where I was cooking with ingredients that I had no idea what I was using, and I made something delicious from it, just reminded me that I have really awesome hands. And I can do great things with my hands and make fantastic food.
Yeah.
So I've just delved right back into it. Immediately made apple bread and blueberry breakfast bread.
That apple bread's gone already.
Yeah.
I haven't even tried the blueberry bread yet. That'll be today. Yeah. So we joked about buying a boat.
We did.
And then we talked about buying a boat.
And then
we seriously talked about buying a boat.
Yeah.
And then Thailand happened, and then that made us really want to buy a boat.
Right, because that was fun.
Yeah.
I want to go snorkeling.
Right. Well, now I realize that we don't need to buy a boat for that. We can go to a boat like club and rent or become members of a yacht club or whatever, so that we can actually rent boats versus what are you doing?
There's a hair between my toes, and I cannot.
You have hairy toes? Or you got hobbit feet?
No, one of my hairs from my head.
Oh, yeah. Good. Now you know what my balls feel like.
Yeah, I hate this. I am uncomfortable. I want to amputate my toe right now.
Lorna asked if we were going to be able to see Bane today. We are not going to see Bane. Bane is there in Tennessee until...
oh, gosh. After January?
Yeah, until after January. So, real quick, for those of you who are new here, what we are doing right now is we are recording our episode live with our Patreon audience watching in the chat.
Yes.
So, as we interact with people, it's not people in the studio, we're reading a chat screen. Mm-hmm. We're not professionals. We're not trained for anything. We're two people with lived life experience. We made a lot of mistakes, corrected those mistakes, and are living a dope fucking life. And the information that we give you, we hope that it helps you.
And we're continuing to learn.
We are continuing to learn.
Oh, my gosh.
I have some shit.
You have some shit? I was about to say, set boundaries, find peace has been life-changing for me.
Same author.
Right. I think she has like a little mini series. I feel like there's a third one that goes, because I looked that one up on my Kindle.
I just got a paper cut from the cover of the book.
Oh no. Slow down in life, babe.
Can't help it.
Does anybody have a hair tie? That's a really long shot to ask a bald husband and Carrie.
I'm willing to bet that you...
Oh man. I didn't mean that as an insult, Carrie. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, thank you, babe. This is love. My husband knew exactly where I left a hair tie.
Yeah, it's because they're all over the fucking place. That's so funny.
Yes, it is. Oh gosh.
So, do you know what Alexithymia is?
Alexithymia?
Yep.
Does it have to do with over-explaining something? Okay, no, then I don't.
Okay, so before I get into that, would you agree that things like PTSD, CPTSD, and trauma in that form is a mental illness?
In that form? What do you mean in that form? Like what it's called?
PTSD.
Is mental illness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I ask you that is because by definition, it is.
Right.
Your mental health is not right.
Right.
Therefore,
there's something
it's ill.
affecting the brain.
It is an illness.
Like a virus.
Okay. I'm going to just read this to you verbatim.
Okay.
This comes from Drama Free by Nedra Glover.
Love her.
Tawwab.
Fantastic author.
It says, you shouldn't feel that way. Emotional disconnection is what alexithymia is.
Okay, hang on. Emotional disconnection
Yep.
is what?
Alexithymia.
Alexithymia?
Yep. So statements like you shouldn't feel that way, what do you have to cry about, are statements that young men normally hear from their parents.
Repeat them again. I'm sorry. This is hard for me. I'm sorry. Repeat them.
You shouldn't feel that way.
Okay.
What do you have to cry about?
Okay. is what young men hear from their
Right.
parents.
Suck it the fuck up.
Okay.
Right. There's never a processing phase.
Not
there.
our son.
Right.
He doesn't hear.
This goes on to say that at 40 years old, he was in the process of getting divorced for a second time. His soon-to-be ex-wife told him that, I ad-libbed the beginning of that.
Okay.
His soon-to-be ex-wife told him that she never knew what he was feeling because he never communicated his emotions to her. He had to agree because he realized he didn't know what he was feeling himself.
Okay. Pause. So she said something. He agreed because he didn't fully understand what he was experiencing. So because somebody else verbalized it, he was like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. She never knew what he was feeling because he never communicated his emotions to her.
Okay.
And he agreed because he didn't.
Oh.
He was unable to articulate what his emotions were.
Okay. Never mind.
He did know he didn't want his marriage to end, but he wasn't sure how to be more emotional, as his wife requested. Are you pausing me again?
No, I'm processing. This is real time me struggling with trying to learn audibly.
Would you like to read this? Because this is normally how we do things. Because I do a whole lot better hearing it and you do a whole lot better reading it.
Yeah, if you can.
Which is why you read and I listen.
If you can show me where to read in the book.
It's highlighted.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And if your partner doesn't believe you that you have a hard time in conversations following along, show them this.
Yeah.
I just repeated back to you what you read to me and it was not the same thing.
Right. Because what I said and what you heard were not the same thing.
Right.
This is why people argue.
Right. Okay.
Stop laughing, Carrie. It's not funny. I could hear her wheezing.
Yeah. So picking up where my husband left off, he did know he didn't want his marriage to end, but he wasn't sure how to be more emotional as his wife requested. Emotional disconnection usually leads to divorce because the partner who isn't disconnected feels isolated and lonely in the relationship. An inability to identify and express emotions is called, oh fuck, what is that?
Alexithymia.
Alexithymia?
Yep.
They do that on purpose. I don't know what I feel is a typical refrain from people who have this condition. Is a typical refrain from people who have this condition. What does refrain mean in this context?
It's their answer.
Okay.
I don't know why she used that word there, but
Okay.
Basically they're just saying that that's for people who have that condition. That is a statement.
Okay.
I don't know how far into this chapter or into this part it's going to go, but they say that this only affects 10% of people, and it's more prevalent in people who have autism.
Oh, sick.
But they state that it stems from a mental illness.
Right.
Okay. And now that we've already established that PTSD is a mental illness, this is why most men have a hard time going through what it is that they're feeling, other than just being angry or, frustrated. Mm-hmm. Because the emotions were never taught. You were taught to suppress. And when you are forced to do that, you don't learn the coping mechanisms to be able to articulate those things. I believe that even though the thing that I read that's not in the book said that it's only prevalent in about 10% of people, I think that number is much, much higher, especially when you survey only men.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And the amount of people that go untested for being on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even when they know what they feel, it's challenging for them to express their feelings to others. Oh, goodness. When I'm in like a peak hurricane of my own making and I have to verbalize to you what I'm going through, I wish I could paint in 30 seconds a realistic picture.
This is where that telepathic connection needs to exist.
Right.
I would like to point out, too, that situation is prevalent in a lot of people, mm-hmm. which is why it's important to be okay with your partner going,
I'm going to be a dick right now.
That works. That totally works.
Okay.
Or, I don't know how to articulate what it is that I need from you in the moment. I'm going to take a few minutes, process this, and then we're going to sit down and have a conversation. Hey, I can tell something's wrong with you. Want to talk about it? Mm-hmm. Not yet. I'm not ready. I really appreciate you checking on me. I have a whole lot of shit I want to talk to you about. It's just not there yet.
Right.
Am I in trouble? No. Is it my fault? No. Cool. Let me know when you're ready.
What if it is yes?
Are you leaving?
No.
Do you hate me?
No.
Still love me not leaving? Cool. Talk about it later.
Okay.
Because that satisfies my
Right.
mental itch. Like
Even if you're still having anxiety, you move on like
anxiety's
that.
gone.
Okay.
My anxiety is you don't love me anymore and you're leaving. That's
Right.
borderline trauma happening all over my brain. But if you go, I love you, I'm not leaving.
Right.
Just disappointed or I'm frustrated right now or this happened and I'm working through it. I'm gonna go about my life. Like
So do you think that works for you? Because one, I don't use that as manipulation and disagreements.
it works for me because I will not allow it to use me to be manipulated.
Right.
I will not allow you to use it to manipulate me.
Okay. But I've also never lied to you about it.
Right. The manipulation and the hanging things overhead and trying to use psychological warfare to get me to do what you want me to do is not something that I will tolerate from anyone
Right.
because of my childhood.
Yeah.
So
I'm getting on that level. It feels nice.
it's freeing.
I like
it is
it.
fucking freeing.
It is.
There's, Greek mythology, Atlas, the guy that holds the world on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He was able to trick somebody into holding the world for him for a little while, and he went to go do his thing, and they had to trick him into taking it back. But that little bit of time, when you go from having that world on your shoulders and going, okay, I'm not going to be, psychologically manipulated anymore. I'm going to go do my shit. It's like taking that world off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. All right. In families where emotional expression is discouraged, people can disconnect over time from their feelings and therefore can't or won't express what they feel.
Right.
That reconnect to my emotions and my feelings was one of the most... that was not a good sentence. Cut that. Do not leave that in there. Not even for a funny moment. I'm genuinely slightly embarrassed by that. But now that made it kind of funny. So maybe do leave it in there because that shows me growing and telling people oh God, leave it in. Okay. Me reconnecting with my emotions and my feelings was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Because were you going to ask me why?
Nope. I'll wait.
Okay.
You were probably going to explain, which is why I stopped.
Okay. Because it wasn't a gentle reconnect. It was felt in force because it was repressed. I'm just going to continue.
Okay.
Okay. And it's like, I don't know why, but maybe it's because we recently saw Beetlejuice. But I'm in that hallway, the really wonky hallway, and I'm trying to hold this door back with the sandworm trying to get at me. And that's all my feelings and emotions busting through that door.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to handle in one go. It was an inopportune time. And I don't want to feel this way. But I'm also choosing to fight my alcoholism and not supplement my emotions with other people's feelings by fixing other people's lives or serial dating.
Oh yeah, not fixing other people's lives?
Yeah. No, by fixing other people's lives, I mean, okay, so that's a whole other sidebar.
You want to start closing some of those tabs you got going? Because there's a lot now.
Damn it. It was all going somewhere. But the fixing other people's lives was not fixing other people's lives. This is genuinely helping people.
I know what you meant.
In my toxic cycle, when I was fixing other people's lives, I was feeding off of the gossip. I was like the little fish that eat dead skin off of people's feet, but for gossip. Yeah. That's how vile I felt.
That's disgusting.
I wanted to paint that picture. And we'll continue on.
Don't like that.
6 ways to manage, oh gosh,
Alexithymia.
Alexithymia?
Just stop looking at the word. You know what it sounds like.
I can't.
Because it's really hard to
so
sound
hard.
out. Yeah.
All right, the first one is use a feelings chart. Yes, the one with faces to figure out what you feel. I didn't use a feelings chart, but I kind of used like a family ancestry tree, but with feelings and emotions. Because anger is a mask. And I'd be like, no, I'm not frustrated. No, I don't feel melancholy. Really broaden my vocabulary as well.
Yeah.
Use a mood tracker to assess what you're feeling throughout the day. Oh, I do this too. I have an app on my phone. I have noticed that it's helped me.
Yeah.
It's really it has really put into perspective. I don't have my glasses on, so every time I look around, I feel like I'm getting motion sickness. That's why I'm pausing.
Did you not bring your glasses?
No, I left the house in a hurry. But with the mood tracking, it has really put into perspective for me my bad days. Or you're just inconvenienced right now. Take a deep breath.
Right.
You don't want to have to handle this emotion right now. Slow down, right? Number 3, practice journaling about feelings. Pick an emotion and write about a time when you've experienced it. Love doing that. Big advocate for journaling. Number 4, take steps towards using feeling words in everyday conversation. This might be awkward at first, but it will become more natural with practice. Do I do that?
I'm sorry, read it again.
Take steps towards using feeling words in everyday conversation.
Yeah, because that's the I versus you statement. You're not throwing blame. You're saying, I feel like da-da-da-da-da when this happens.
Okay.
The reason I said I want you to read that again is because
Right.
I have a new tool that I want to try.
Ooh.
When we're processing through like rough shit,
Okay.
is to speak in third person.
Oh, no. Okay.
But use he and she.
He and she.
Or she and she, or he and he, however your
Right.
relationship is. Not names,
Right.
but he and she.
Right, because...
When that happens, I can see how she would feel like blah, 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 blah. When you do that, there was a study done, right? Because, we do more than just this.
Right.
There was a study done that when you speak in third person like that, and you were trying to problem solve in third person like that, it pulls you subconsciously out of it and it puts you into logic brain thinking because you're not emotionally invested into the conversation.
That makes sense.
You're basically gossiping about yourself. Can't believe she overreacted to that situation.
Damn. You know what? I think that would make me feel better.
Yeah.
I think that would make me feel better in the moment. It gives me an opportunity to laugh at myself.
Yeah. We would have to remember that in the moment,
Right.
like this conversation, but it's definitely something that would be worth, and if we ever have another disruption,
Right.
it'd be like, hey, let's do the third person thing and see how it works out.
So you said
We don't have
that-
enough arguments for that to like.
No, we really don't. You said that, and that led me to a thought of
That was a
people-
horrible sound.
That was. People can get index cards and put them in a little holder. And every time you get into a disruption or an argument, grab the index cards and start pulling out I versus you statement examples. And be like, are we doing this right now? No. Are we too elevated for this? Whatever. Start pulling out things and then find something that works for both of you in the moment.
I'm almost positive that the Gottman Institute sells those cards ready to go.
Really?
I think they do. I actually think I bought them.
You know what? That makes sense. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Number 5, pay attention to how other people express emotions and ask them questions about their feelings.
That's something that people should do no matter what.
Right. I annoy the children with that.
I have a conversation about the children that I want to get into too when we're done with this.
Okay. Number 6, therapy can be a place where you learn to identify, connect to, and process your emotions. I am loving therapy. I'm loving everything about it. I see my little therapist profile photo. She sent me a voice message. I didn't even listen to the voice message. I read the transcript of it.
Because you don't want to ruin who it is or what it is.
I want it to be completely anonymous.
Yeah.
I know her name. I know that she's a very lovely person to talk to. That's more important to me than... And I also don't want to be recognized. I've purposely left out the podcast
Right.
in therapy, and that's been nice. Big advocate for therapy. Evelyn's parents were older, and when she was a kid,
No, I was making sure that my paper cut wasn't bleeding. It's a wound.
I'm so in tune with our hand signals, I want to make sure I don't miss nothing. Evelyn's parents were older, and when she was a kid, her siblings were already adults. Her parents challenged her to figure things out on her own, so that what she... Her parents challenged her to figure things out on her own, so that was what she did. Even when she needed help, she tried to figure it out because she didn't want to bother anyone. After she broke her ankle, she needed help completing basic tasks like getting into the shower and moving around her house. That asking for help while injured is a really hard thing for me to do.
Why is that?
Because I should be able to do it on my own. And the fact that my body is failing me right now and it's out of my control pisses me off.
Same.
And I feel weak.
Yep.
I don't like feeling weak.
I get that. It's been on my back for the last 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah. Evelyn was stuck trying to take care of herself because she didn't want to ask for help. She didn't want to ask for the help that she needed. Humans are needy, and being needy isn't always a bad thing. Of course, we don't want to burden others, so it can be tough to ask for help when we've been told to figure it out. No matter what you've been told, however, you can't figure everything out on your own. You have needs, and it's okay to admit that you do. Denying your needs doesn't make them go away, it leaves them unmet. In a poll on Instagram, I asked, what family patterns do you want to break? These were the top 20 responses in no particular order.
That entire situation about speaking on needs not being met that aren't vocalized, that's been a huge topic of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of people who feel like we are supposed to know what our person is going through or know what it is that they need of us is wrong. Like you can't expect somebody to just know what the fuck you need. Like if you don't speak up, you're never going to have your expectations met ever.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, so getting into the list. Alcoholism, codependency, keeping secrets, staying in dysfunctional relationships, counterdependency. I'm delving into counterdependency right now.
I don't know what that is.
This is it's an attachment style. So there's anxious, avoidant, secure, and counterdependence is a fourth one. And I don't like opening the store, but it's been a growth process to discover counterdependence. Going on, gossiping about family members, verbal abuse, emotional disconnection, gaslighting, ignoring major problems, fat shaming, financial instability, keeping up appearances to the outside world, enmeshment, emotional immaturity, lack of boundaries, emotional neglect, passive aggressiveness, people pleasing, and beating children. Numerous things from this list are present in some families, but even one thing can impact how you function in your adult relationships.
So the reason that I wanted to have this discussion on the podcast is because of the amount of women who have men in their lives that are unable, incapable of is what I was going to say, but it came out as incapable of having conversations that truly express what it is that they need, what they're going through emotionally. They just become numb and don't know how to talk about things.
Right.
Then the woman gets super fucking mad because he never talks about what's going on.
Or he doesn't understand.
Right. Or he doesn't understand what she's going through. And there's a name for it now. There's something that you can delve into to understand why that's actually a thing. Alexithymia is a thing. And I believe it's way higher than 10%.
Oh, yeah. And this is Drama Free by Nedra Glover Tawwab. Fantastic author.
So the thing that I wanted to talk about that happened this morning.
Okay.
Little Miss threw some shit.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just, I'm sure you don't remember that conversation verbatim, but can you have that conversation with the podcast about why we don't throw things?
So our daughter was dilly-dallying this morning, and I was redirecting her politely. And after she didn't listen the first time, I got stern. And she goes, "You're yelling at me." I'm like, "No, I'm not yelling at you. I'm becoming stern with you because you didn't listen the first time, and I'm not going to repeat myself." And she huffed. Oh, she wanted to, the way that we have our living room set up, there's kind of like a horse shape. And she wanted to go the long way to drop things off at her table, which she can just bloop. And she was like, "Well, I need to go put my things down." I was like, "You don't have to go this way. There's nothing for you over here. Go do what I asked you to do. We want to go for a walk this morning. We're on a time crunch, sweetheart." And she walked away, and she took her book and she threw it on the table. Just tossed it. And I was like, "We're not doing that." And I was like, "Pick that up and come back here, please." She picked it up and she came back and I was like, do you understand why I asked you to come back here? And she was like, I just put it down. She was like, I went to go slide it. And I was like, no, baby, you tossed it. I was like, are you upset? Are you frustrated with me? What happened? She was like, I'm a little bit angry because you didn't let me do what I wanted to do. I was like, I get that. We don't throw things out of anger.
You were speaking so much softer than this when you were talking to her, by the way.
Was I?
Oh, yeah. Way
Oh,
softer.
yeah. I'm recanting.
Okay.
Recounting. I'm trying to be factual.
I think recanting was the right. I don't know. Anyways, I knew what you meant.
I'm trying to recollect, and the children 100% get a different side of me than the rest of the world. And I can't fake that. So, but I remember ending it with, when you break something, when you're angry, it's hard to put it back together when you're happy.
Okay, so because you jumped, and what I was looking for specifically was you told her that when she threw that, had she thrown it harder than necessary, it could have hit brother's cup, knocked the cup over, broke his little skull cup, whatever it was. And then the conversation happened from that point of, if you broke that out of anger, you can never get it back. It may not be able to be put back together. You could have lost it forever.
Right.
And that's one of those things that happened because you were emotionally unregulated and through the thing.
And
right?
and you hurt your brother in the process.
Right. So you had that little conversation, and it hit me that is the perfect way to explain disruptions in a relationship and why you shouldn't talk in derogatory tones to your person. If you're having a conversation with an argument, let's say you're fighting, right? Like, let's say things are really heated and we were fighting and I was like, listen here, you stupid bitch, right? Like, there's nothing that will ever take that stupid bitch comment away. Doesn't matter if it's said out of anger. It doesn't matter if I'm an emotional mess. It doesn't. Why are you smirking at me?
Because it made me emotional.
Why?
Because you don't talk to me that way.
I would never talk to you that way.
I know.
But the idea of the people who get mad and are they are not regulated and they don't understand that words can never be taken back. And once those words have left and that has happened, that broken item can never be whole again.
Right.
Because even though it was said out of anger, that person is now hurt. Nothing that's said is going to undo that hurt, and that seed has now been planted.
Right.
And every insecurity, every shortcoming, every failure from every person in your life that has ever allowed you to believe that you were any of those things is now subconsciously watering and becoming nutrients. Right. And every time you think about it, that soil's getting tilled.
Yeah.
And now things are starting to take root. And it all happened from a fucking statement that's made in an argument that can't be taken back. And you can't uproot that. It's like the kudzu vine.
Right.
Once it's there, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You were able to give a 5-year-old that life lesson this morning. And it was so perfect to a 5-year-old that I was like, you need to give that to the podcast. And I've been holding on to it and waiting for us to get on here because that's life.
Right.
And the objects are people.
Yeah.
Metaphors.
Yeah. I also want to touch on, you said that as an example on the podcast, and I'm such a delicate flower that it made me cry because my husband doesn't talk to me that way.
Well, that's proof that you're not abused by me.
Right, no, but I also want that to be an example for all the men who thinks that it's just words in an argument. This wasn't an argument, and that hurt.
Yeah.
Right, because you don't talk that way. And I could never imagine you talking to me that way. So watch how you talk to your delicate flowers.
Not all women are delicate flowers, babe.
I know, but all of us have a little girl in us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe that to be the case, though.
No?
No. We have a friend who was cut from collarbone to collarbone by a woman. And I don't believe that there was a delicate anything in that woman or even a little child at that point. She's pure fucking psychopath.
Yeah, but there were a lot of steps to get there.
Right.
He didn't have a delicate flower, but at some point somebody did.
Right. I'm not saying that it's okay to treat people that way.
Right.
I think that you should be mindful of the way that you treat people, period. I guess the bigger picture in that is that I actually have something that's delicate and dainty that I have to be fragile with and that I do take great care of. And that I guess I'm blessed and lucky in that aspect because a lot of men don't have that. That was a good example. It was a good little conversation.
It was a good little conversation. And you know, I'm pretty stoked that you think the things I tell the kids are good.
Yeah. I'm glad that I was actually listening to this morning when all that happened.
Yeah.
The moment that I heard you say that she threw something, I I was focused and
Yeah.
zoning, listening to what was being said. But
Yeah.
Better Built Dog said that there's a monster inside of everyone. There absolutely is. But you have to quell that. That monster, it needs to be a defense mechanism and not a go-to. You want to do some emails?
Yes.
What?
Did this straw come from McDonald's?
It did. I don't like it.
What the fuck, McDonald's?
It's not yellow with the red. It's not white with the red and yellow stripes on it.
Yeah, it's not sturdy.
As soon as I opened the straw and put it
Yeah.
in the cup, I was like, this is strange.
Yeah, it just tipped my tism. I have alarm bells right now. I'm not okay.
That's funny.
Excuse me, Ronald. It's so cold in here.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know where my blanket is?
Probably in the gaming room.
Okay, all bundled up. This one is titled, Please Help. Good morning. I recently found you guys on TikTok and I have listened to so many of your podcasts, but I have not found anything that has made sense for my situation. What would your advice be on how to break things off civilly when one party in a relationship refuses to accept that you want to break up? I cannot just leave. We have a child involved.
You can't. No, you can just leave. You absolutely can just leave.
Yeah.
That's a lie that you're telling yourself so that you can stay. Because it's easier to stay in your discomfort than it will be to actually make change in your life. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I did just leave. And here we are years later, shared custody, co-parenting, kids are thriving.
The idea of staying in a situation that's not safe or that's unhealthy or is even disrupting your peace and
Right.
fucking up your life, you choosing to stay there is an active decision. You are actively choosing to stay in that situation. You can get up and just leave.
Right.
And you can try to be amicable. Hey, I think that we just need to not be together. Like we could be great friends, just not lovers. Whatever. And if that doesn't work, move on. Leave. You tried to do the right thing. Establish a new fucking boundary in your life and go about your shit. You're not responsible for other people's feelings.
Right.
You're not responsible for the outcome of their life.
Right.
You're responsible for your well-being, mental and physical, and the outcome of your existence. You're responsible of the outcome of your children's existence to a certain point.
Right.
And then beyond that, they're now
in
responsible
charge.
for their shit.
Yep. Okay, I got it back. There was a discomfortable upheaval of life when I decided to leave my first marriage. And I felt guilty about it for a while. There's still a guilt there because I made choices that led up to something that could have 100% been prevented. And by that, I mean my first marriage. I should have never gotten married. But I was a people pleaser. I was scared of the backlash. And not backlash from anybody in particular. I was just worried of hard conversations. I didn't want to be the reason that somebody else was upset. Crazy what we'll do with our lives and what we'll throw away to make other people happy.
Right. It's understandable. I get not wanting to hurt somebody.
Right.
Right. And like, it doesn't matter if you're the one ending a relationship, it hurts.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be some sort of discomfort there no matter what. So the idea of not hurting somebody's feeling is appealing. I don't want to be the reason that somebody's going through suffering.
Right.
But if I'm suffering, I have to put my suffrage over other people's because if I rip that fucking Band-Aid off, they'll be okay eventually. I'll be okay eventually. But I'm not okay right now. And until I rip that fucking Band-Aid off, it's going to fester. Like,
Right.
and that's what that email is.
Yeah. The upheaval was scary. Knowing that my children are not going to have one home anymore was scary. Right? I didn't know where I was going to be in 5 years. I didn't know where I was going to be in 10 years. I know where I'm going to be in 10 years now. You have to be the person that brings a settlement to the situation for yourself and for your child or children, right? If I didn't grab my life and by proxy their lives by the horns, is that what people say?
Yeah.
Is that a rodeo thing?
Grab life by the horns, grab the bull by the horns.
Right.
Better yet, nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah, nobody's coming to save us. I got us to a point in our life, and now by proxy, I'm married to my husband. We are now working as a team to project our life even farther. We did this. And for a certain amount of time, I did this by myself. And it was hard. It was self-image altering. Does that make sense? I had to own a lot of shit. I had to take a lot of accountability. And now everything is okay.
You know that scene in The Matrix where Neo comes out of the goo, he's got all the plugs, and he passes out and he wakes up in the bedroom and like he's got a little bit of hair left.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is who you are. You've not used your eyes before, blah, blah, blah. And they put him back in the Matrix and he goes from being who he is and the buttons and the shaved head to full head of hair and normal looking thing. And he's like, this is the way that this is your self-perception.
Yeah.
That what you just said about having to change your identity, or however you worded that, your self-identity, the way that you view yourself, is one of the hardest things that we have to do, because we all perceive ourselves a certain way.
Right.
Like I know that I have tattoos on my face when I look in the mirror, but when I'm talking to you, I don't see that.
Right.
My perception of me doesn't look like this. Right?
Yeah.
So when I see myself in the mirror, I'm like, damn, I've got bags under my eyes. Like I'm looking a little run down today. The beard is getting white. Like I'm definitely getting fucking old. I'm 25 years old in my brain. Like the way that I view myself is not that.
Yeah.
So when you have to disrupt your belief system of who you are and have to restructure a new identity and heal from all of that shit, it's fucking difficult. I know that's probably a whole long fucking way to get there, bringing up the Matrix movie, but that's what my brain did when you...
No.
Okay.
That was a really good add-on. It furthered. I can't believe I just said that. You know what's a really good restaurant? Fuddruckers.
Yeah.
All right, continuing on. A little backstory on the last year and a half. I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm going to try to keep this short as it has a lot of things involved.
Sorry.
What? Was it me? Was it the chat?
Was it the Crudes? No, it wasn't the Crudes. It was the Wild Thornberries with the wild baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I...
You know what I find really hot about you?
What's that?
When just this past moment, right? Like we're reading an email, we're being like kind of serious about things, and you're trying to suppress your laughter. I don't know. You're this very stoic man, and you're just really hot. Like, I don't know. I appreciate the way that you move your body and do things.
Are you saying that you like the way I move?
Yeah, I like the way you move. Dun dun dun. I made myself nervous thinking about it.
That was the Crudes, according to the chat.
Was it?
Yeah. Anyways.
It's the way you touch your mustache beard thing.
Yeah?
Yeah. And the way you move your eyebrows. It's your face. Okay, continuing on. I'm going to try to keep this short as it has a lot of things involved. My boyfriend and I met in April of 2023. And by the end of June, we lived together and I found out I was pregnant. I know it happened way too fast. Everything was going good between us until about 3 months before I had my daughter. He started to withdraw, and any time I would ask for help from him, even if it was carrying all the laundry down to the laundromat, it would be a struggle, and I would end up doing it by myself. He said he was depressed and tired all the time. We both work. I have 2 kids from a previous relationship. So I was juggling their activities and school stuff, taking care of a newborn, working 10 to 12 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, doing all of the cooking, cleaning, laundry, and maintaining the home. And he would get upset at me if I didn't cook after work. Okay, so I'm gonna pause. Oh, thank goodness this is not the eyebrow I filled in. Could you imagine?
You didn't dye it back yet? I was going to ask you about that.
No, it's just my eyeliner.
This is one of those I shouldn't say I told you so moments with people.
Yeah.
But like, we've been telling y'all to be careful about who the fuck you choose to be with.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my eyebrow.
No.
You were right about the eyebrow.
I'm really hung up on this situation with this.
I
Like,
agree.
you chose this.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it is. This is a direct result of a choice that you made.
Right.
And
unprotected sex, moving way too quick with somebody you don't know.
Right.
Not learning from past experiences.
Right. And that sucks for this person. I'm not saying like,
It
fuck
really
you for
does.
that. This is a lesson for everyone else who's listening.
Cautionary tale.
Slow the fuck down. There's
Very
a reason we
cautionary
preach that.
tale.
And now she's in a situation where
This sucks.
she doesn't know what to fucking do with herself, and she can't amicably leave the situation because he doesn't want that to be the case.
Continuing on. Well, anyways, fast forward to the situation now. On August 20th, 2024, I told him that our relationship was no longer working and I needed a break and that I wanted to break up with him.
Wait, are they live? So
They're living together. They're intermingled in life.
she should have moved out. Not, I want a break. This isn't working. I'm leaving.
I'm done.
Right.
So I have a question of, were there any conversations leading up to this, or were there passive aggressive remarks about how you don't get any help? Were there arguments versus, hey, I'm struggling. I feel like I'm drowning.
I'm willing to bet none of that.
Right.
Because of I need it to be amicable.
Right.
And she's afraid to leave the situation, and there's a lack of boundaries there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to point out, I guess, is because she said, I'm just going to go back a little bit. I told him that our relationship was no longer working and I needed a break and that I wanted to break up with him. That's very definitive. And in my mind, that comes after multiple conversations of, hey, this is where we at on this. This is where we are at on this. There's either progress happening, there's not progress happening. I feel like I'm not drowning anymore. I appreciate you stepping in when you have. I noticed you did the dishes last night. Thank you. Are there gentle reminders happening after these conversations? If he's had a hard day at work because he's also working 10 to 12-hour days, taking on 2 children that aren't his, now a newborn with a woman that he barely knew, now committed to this life of going from no children to 3 children. It's a lot.
It is.
I would need gentle reminders. I am so graceful with you because you were thrown into chaos. I can't get mad at you for forgetting things, especially when there are 2 children involved, right? Those are just things that I would do leading up to that conversation of, look, now I'm done. This isn't working anymore.
And she said that he said that he was depressed.
Right.
Of course he is.
Right. His life has changed.
Right. And it sounds like it might have been voluntary. Like, I'm sure he had a big fucking hand and come on, move in.
Right.
We're going to have this baby. I'm sure that all of that happened.
Probably excited.
Fuck that. I'm blame all of it. It's all him, right?
Yeah.
Let's say all of that was him. It doesn't change the fact that within a year, he went from having no kids to 3 and a woman and like trying to navigate a living situation with someone that he barely knows.
Right.
There's not been hard conversations that have been had. There's no, a year, and in 9 months of that year was pregnancy.
Right.
There's an obligation
Happened
there, like
quick.
hormonal. Like, there's a whole lot of things. This guy's got to slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
I know that that's not helpful to the emailer, but for those of you who are listening, that fucking matters.
Yeah. Okay, continuing on before I do a new thought. So the emailer said I needed a break and that I wanted to break up with him. He flipped out on me, calling me names and threatening that he would take our daughter and I would never get custody of her. That he would take our camper that we are currently living in temporarily, amongst other things. I do not want to continue the relationship, but he will not accept that I want to break up. He says he is changing and has changed, and he is no longer depressed and anxious. Oh, he is no longer the depressed and anxious person he was a month ago. But his words and actions do not add up.
Yeah, because he's trying to manipulate the situation, just like he was manipulating you by saying he'll take the kid and take the camper that you're living in.
Right. He's throwing things to see what's going to stick.
Yeah. Could you imagine having 3 kids and living in a camper?
No, God, no. No. Even a massive like $1 million spacious camper, I don't think I could do that.
Right.
I need a home. I need plot of land. I need space.
I don't do that's manipulation. That
Right.
threatening shit. I'm gonna take the kids.
Don't play that game.
Go ahead.
Don't do that. Yeah.
I'll see you in court,
Right.
and it'll be what it is. I would rather find out if that's actually going to be the case than live under your fucking thumb because you're threatening me with it.
Playing games.
Right.
Right. And that will only work for so long. Once a child has access to a phone or internet or turns 18, whatever relationship they facilitate outside of that domineering parent is out of their say. And then this surprises a lot of parents, but eventually your children become conscious and can connect dots and can pay attention to behaviors and patterns and understand things and formulate their own opinions of you and situations.
Right. And to give you an idea of how soon that starts, that, that happens between 3 to 6 years old.
Yeah.
And it just snowballs. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Our daughter asked me this morning at 5, right? She was talking about the rings on my finger. I was like, well, you have to earn these rings, right? You don't just get them. They're not just handed to you. And I was like, Pops gave me these rings because he wanted to marry me. He loves me. And she goes, no way. And I was like, yes, Wayne. And she was like, no, wait a minute. And she was like, what about daddy? And I was like, what about daddy? And she was like, you were married to daddy and then you left and you found another dude. And I was like, oh,
did she say
damn.
Another dude?
She did. Yeah. And she said, you found another dude. And I was like, well, sometimes mommy and daddies work better as friends versus husband and wife. And I was like, do you understand the difference between husband and wife and friends? And she was like, yeah, well, to the extent that we've talked about it, she understands that you don't kiss your friends, you can kiss your husband, right? And the gentleman aspect of things, opening doors, whatever. But I was at 5 years old, I was pretty taken aback. I looked at you and I was like, I've never felt shamed by a 5-year-old before.
Yeah, your kids see everything.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm willing to have those conversations when she's older, right? Where she's able to actually understand relationships and how things can fall apart. And there is going to be a lot of accountability in those conversations for me with the children because model by example. I don't want them to make the same mistakes that I made.
Yeah. You know something that I just thought about while you were talking?
What's
is that because kids don't hang out the way kids used to. It's no longer about riding bikes and being around each other and going to each other's houses.
Right. When
kids hang out now, a lot of times it's video games or it's a sports thing where they go to a sports field and do the thing and then they come back home. And the homes are very, it's not a communal property anymore.
Desolate.
Right. So when I was a kid, if somebody was being abused by their parents, you would see that shit when you'd go over there. Or if they didn't have any food in the house, you would see that when you went over there. Like you got other life experiences, which helped formulate who you wanted to be when you grow up. I wonder how the electronic age is going to affect that aspect of childhood.
I think we're already starting to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said all the kids would go to one house and hang out, right? Riding bikes, all those kinds of things. The last 3 years of the children being in a classroom setting, I have given out my phone number to every student. And I'll write on this little card, so-and-so's mom, reach out for play dates, whatever. Not a single parent has ever reached out to me in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm flabbergasted. The lack of want for parents to facilitate a social life for their children blows my mind.
And how much of that do you think comes down to time?
I think a big portion of it, lack of energy, burnout, exhaustion.
Those play dates would facilitate new friendships. It would eliminate. It would allow for a self-care scenario.
Right, community.
Right, you would allow it would allow the title of mom to become more than just title of mom. Now you have mom, wife, and friend.
Right.
Right. Like there's a lot that goes into that. I think that's a whole other discussion, but.
You know, I used to be somebody who shit on positions of community. I don't like people. I just want to be a hermit in my room. After doing the podcast and, taking the children to the library, or every week we do a before school family learning thing together, I enjoy that role in the community. You
need that. Right. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how different Tennessee would have been without Zach and Jenny there?
Oh my gosh.
With the kids or Carrie?
Right.
That whole parrot thing lasted an entire day.
Hours, yeah.
Right? And he wouldn't have gotten that otherwise.
Right.
Right? So there would have been a life experience that he wouldn't have gotten had we not had people around us that is our tribe.
Right.
Yeah. Dakota's here with the dog.
Oh.
Call your dog.
Ivy. Hi, babies.
Oh, hello. Oh, I know. I know.
All right, we're almost done with this.
Okay.
All right, continuing on in the email. Anytime I try to bring it up so we can talk about our wishes once we do separate our things, he basically tells me that we're still together and we are going to fix things and I will learn to be happy with him again.
That sounds like a very unsafe situation.
Yeah, that sounds mentally unstable.
You can learn to love me.
Yeah, I would start talking to family members, right? Start putting things into place, let them know what's going on. Leaving the night.
Yeah.
Calling sick to work, don't tell him about it. Leave. That's what I would do if I felt truly unsafe, because that bothers me. I don't want to fix it at this time. I have asked for space and a break, and he is demanding me to be more affectionate and loving towards him. I feel like I am trapped and that my needs for space are not being respected. There's a whole lot more to this. I have tried to be very direct on my wishes. I have tried to talk about how separating would be easier and what they request, but they refuse it altogether.
Nobody can make you stay there.
Right.
You're choosing to.
Yeah.
You need to leave. This is just what that comes down to. I don't understand. I don't know how to help somebody like that, because in my head, if I'm not happy somewhere, I'm fucking out.
Leaving, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the end of that email.
Well, we're an hour and 9 minutes in, minus the whole dog situation that just happened.
Yeah.
Do you want to try to do another one real quick? Because that I would like to at least finish on a positive note. That was not a good email.
Okay.
That did not make me feel good. That made me feel like, damn, you need to run. Like,
right.
yeah.
So this one says, thank you. There's a small update at the end. Theme, how to support more at home as a hardworking dad.
Hang on. I don't want to do emails like that last one anymore.
Okay.
Anytime the answer is that, anytime I feel like the answer is you need to leave, that's going to be the answer. It doesn't matter what the email says at that point.
Right.
And that email started off with, my partner won't let me end the relationship. What the fuck do you mean he won't let you end the relationship? You're a grown ass woman. This is over. I'm leaving. And then you leave. And then if things pursue, you get a restraining order and a pew-pew.
Mm-hmm. Get the cops
And
involved.
you treat it like an imminent threat.
Yeah.
And it needs to be addressed as such.
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You guys are amazing. I started watching your TikToks last year and have tried to implement a lot of what you talk about into my life. I recently started listening to your podcast while on long drives or just taking breaks at work. You have helped me tremendously. When I was younger, my dad was never around. I had no man to lead me in life. All I've ever known is that my dad was my greatest inspiration in life. As to what not to be. I aspire to be the best dad to my 3 boys now and show them what a man is and what they can be. 1 hers, 1 mine, and 1 ours, but all of us are one family.
That's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm. My fiance is always supportive of anything I choose to do, even with changing jobs and working 2 hours from our current home. She knows I'll do anything. She knows I'll do everything to take care of her and the kids. It's rough though because I'm gone Monday afternoon through Saturday morning. My mind is set on creating the best life for them, even if it means working myself to the bone. Typically, my mind is simply on taking care of the family and showing my boys what a man is, respecting their mama, and showing them what it means to love and be loved.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna. You're not able to do that if you're at home 1 day a week. Full chest.
Yeah.
You can try to do that shit over the phone. They don't know you.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're gone from Monday morning until Saturday evening, you come home and you got dinner Saturday night, 1 day Sunday, and you go back to work, and your kids aren't there, and you're not there, your kids are not going to have a true relationship with you. Mm-hmm. You're getting 24 hours with them. You minus the sleep time, you're getting a lot less than that.
Right.
You're less than a weekend warrior at that point in terms of the time that you get with your children. Mm-hmm. So how are you teaching them those things if you're not there? Are you spending all your free time on FaceTime and you guys are digitally connecting all night long every night when you're there? I'm willing to bet that that's not the case. I'm sure you get a phone call in.
Right.
And you might get a little bit of FaceTime and you get that little bit of interaction, but it's minuscule. You're not helping with homework. You're not there when mom is having disciplinary issues that you need to step in and show them how a man is supposed to handle things. I'm not saying that you're not doing the right thing by working and providing. That's good for you. But to say that you're trying to lead the best example and be the perfect man for your children so that they can fall into those roles, 6 hours a day is not enough time for that.
I agree. Right now, it's hard given the circumstances. She's frustrated with the kids, and I feel like there isn't much I can do right now to help her. I do my best to talk with the boys over FaceTime to set an example for them and be fair with all discipline given. My boy is particularly difficult because he primarily stays with his mom and doesn't like to listen to my fiance. Hers still claim him as my own. Oh gosh. Hers didn't have a dad in his life until I came around, and I still claim him as my own.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Things are happening now.
Okay.
Read, what did it say about his son? His son doesn't deal with the discipline because he lives at home.
My boy is particularly difficult because he primarily stays with his mom and doesn't like to listen to my fiance.
Okay. That's exactly what I was just talking about with the time frames. It correlates, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mean the time frames of him being gone?
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. The first time I heard Elvie Shane's song, My Boy, I bawled my eyes out. They're all my boys, and I want them all to be respectful of their mama. Sorry, this seems all over the place, but I've had a lot of thoughts this morning on this already, and it's been tearing me apart for the last month since I've started this job. But I know it's more secure than my last. Any advice one might give to a struggling 26-year-old dad just trying to make it in the world and raise my 3 boys to be young gentlemen?
Find another job.
Yeah.
That's my answer. Find another job.
Yeah.
What's more important to you? Being away from your family and making a little bit of money, or not making a whole lot of money and being there with your family?
Right.
Right? Because the latter part of that is a lot easier to overcome than the first part. You can't get that time back that you're giving to a corporation or a job or whatever it is that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids are missing out on the time with their dad.
Right.
Your family is going to suffer for that. You can make a shitty income for a little while looking for the right job that allows you to have the time that you need while you're doing that. Mm-hmm. Or you can learn a trade while suffering in that time frame. This time that you're being taken away from your family could be used for schooling.
Right.
That could teach you a trade that you could then open your own business and make the revenue that you want to provide that life that you're trying to live. This comes down to what are you willing to sacrifice? Because the time you can't get back.
Right.
You can always make more money.
This is the update.
Okay. I hope you quit.
It says, this is still relevant. I did change jobs to what I thought would be better. However, instead of being gone all week, I'm gone from 6:30 a.m. until 10 p.m. some nights.
So then nothing's changed. You're there, but you're not present.
Right. We're working on things, and I still beat myself up every day thinking I'm not doing enough. Once again, thank you for your time, and I should greatly appreciate any advice you have for my situation.
You're 26 years old, and you've got 3 kids. That's a lot.
That is a lot. It's a lot.
There's a whole lot of need of finances for a young man. In your 20s, you don't know shit yet. Like, you expect a 25-year-old to be a fuck up.
I still view 25-year-olds as children.
Most employers expect 25-year-olds to be fuck ups. That's why you don't see 25-year-olds in big fields, because they haven't had a work experience yet.
Right.
Like, they don't understand life situations yet. So for 26 years old having 3 kids, you killing yourself to make money makes sense, because you haven't established any type of real career yet. Mm-hmm. But quitting a job where you're gone 6 days a week to where you're gone the entire time that your family's awake, what are you doing? Where's the family time? It doesn't sound like a good relationship either. If I only got to see you at night for an hour or 2 before we went to bed, that would suck.
Yeah.
And if I had to, if I had to come home and hear about how the kids were misbehaving, or how you're stressed out, or how you're lonely, or how, you miss me, and life is hard, and the bills are probably still going to be tight. Like, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
There's other answers there. Find a better job, start looking into trades, get a career thing. If she's not working, maybe she needs to start working too, to get into a position where you both have family time together. Like, I don't really have anything on this. The answer to this is quit the job. Find a job that allows you to be around your family, especially if that's where your suffrage is.
Yeah. I think there also has to be some patience on the wife's end. If this is how life needs to be for the next 2 years, for him to be able to have more time at home, this is the suffrage that needs to happen.
Right. And that speaks to sacrifice, and I'm for
Yeah.
that. But you have to understand that that's a means to an end.
Right.
This isn't like a life thing.
No, I agree.
Right.
I just wanted to point that out as well.
Right. And it's a damn good point. I am for that short-term suffrage for long-term gain.
Right.
Long-term gain. If this is just the way that your life is. So at 26 years old, your kids are kids still. Like, they're little.
Right.
Like, you might have a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. I mean, depending on when the kid was born. If you had a kid at 16, you got a 10-year-old. That's a
Yeah.
very different conversation. So I guess that really matters too. But like, if they're 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, now is the time to be doing that. Because when they start becoming 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're starting to become young men,
Right.
you want to be there to guide that.
Yeah.
But okay, so that speaks to how easy will it be to have a relationship with them coming into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if you haven't been there through 1 through 6. And they don't know the personality. They don't know the person. Every time there's a problem or they get hurt, they run to mom. You're a shadow figure to them.
I think that's when mom needs to step in and actually take a step back and start to guide the boys to the father. Yeah. I think 7 is when boys need to start understanding what it is to be a young man. Discipline really needs to start becoming a thing. Routines need to be set.
I think it starts way earlier than that.
Yeah.
I think that as soon as your kids become cognitive, that needs to start being implemented.
Yeah.
4, 3. As soon as they start understanding manners, and when you're teaching them yes and no, thank you.
Oh yeah, we do that.
Right? Like, that's where that starts. And the discipline aspect, if you get it early on, it's no different. So I'm going to equate that to camera stuff, but it's quality in camera makes editing a whole lot easier.
Right.
Quality raising the kid at that young age is going to make the discipline a whole lot easier because you've already built a foundation for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I'm not saying that this is a slight at him, at the emailer. It's just conversation.
Right. We're just talking about.
But I think that it matters. And you have to ascertain how much of this you're willing to let go.
Right.
You're going to miss out on things. If you're trying to build a brand or you're trying to build an empire for yourself and you're trying to make a lot of money, you're not going to be there. Yeah. This speaks on the whole women in the CEO versus mom conversation that we had early on last year. You can't do both.
Right.
You can, but you're going to half-ass each of them. You're not going to give 100% to both of those. So you have to choose. You want to be a career or you want to be a mom. Like, so that's where that comes in. If this was a woman writing an email like this saying that I'm working from 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night and I don't have time for my kids, people be like, well, you're a shitty mom. People aren't saying that. They're not going to say that to him because he's a dad working, grinding to provide, make money so that they can live the life they want to live. But this also speaks to a man's plight because now he's missing out on his family time trying to make things work.
Right.
How long is that grind worth it? Right? Because you're gonna look back at some point and be like, damn, I missed the baseball games. Like,
well, I think that grind is dependent on how innovative you are to make it easier on you.
Okay.
Right? Human evolution has just been about making our lives easier.
Well, of course.
And if you stay in a rut using the same sawmill while Joe over there is now in the industrial age because you're too stubborn to learn something new, that's kind of your own fault. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it speaks to growth. I mean, this conversation could go into so many different things. We could talk about the failure of the school system.
Yeah.
You know, if he's 26 years old, when he was in high school, if they started teaching trades in high school, electrician, AC, carpentry, plumbing, the things that actually build, right, with their hands, things that can actually make people workers, then by the time you're 26 years old, you'd have a career instead of bouncing from job to job to job. And you can have a career and bounce from job to job to job. You can do tech work and you could be an IT guy that works at Cisco, then works at an airport and then works for a Fortune 500 company and then works for fucking Sprint. Like, but your career is technology. You're an IT guy. If you're somebody that just goes from job to job to job and one day you end up getting a fucking CDL and you become a truck driver and spend the rest of your life as a truck driver, that's your career.
Right.
So that speaks on that ability. You know what I mean? Like that matters.
Yeah.
And if this next 2 or 3 years of this dude's life is spent going from job to job to job with no career, and he's just looking for whatever he can to make money, he's surviving.
Yeah, I view that as ADHD spinning.
Yeah.
I have nothing else on that.
I don't either. I don't feel like either one of those emails were very productive.
I'm sorry.
I think that they led to good conversations, but I don't feel like I helped anybody today.
I get that.
So this feels like a failure of a podcast.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it'll be a win if that chick leaves the camper she's living in
Yeah.
and fucking sets out to fix her life. That would be dope.
Yeah.
I would hate to see this guy grow up or his kids grow up and not know who dad is, especially since he's so dead set on living by example.
Yeah.
You're gonna teach your kids that you're gonna be a workhorse and fucking suffer your entire life and miss out on your family. That's not. I mean, I don't
view that as being a dad.
Right. You're not there for it. Like you're preaching at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if you're done, I guess we can wrap up and interact with Dakota and take the dog out and do all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Let her run around in the sunshine.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening to this, if you don't subscribe to our Patreon, I highly recommend that you do so. The first seminar that we did in Thailand is live on Patreon. It is Patreon exclusive content. We are going to start doing mini episodes. We talked about this while we were in Thailand. We're going to start doing 20 to 30 minute episodes that are Patreon only releases. Like the conversation that we had today about Alexithymia.
Yeah.
That could have been a single episode just for Patreon.
Yeah.
And when we have these little golden nuggets of information and we have these epiphanies, we're going to sit down, record conversation, post. And it'll only go to Patreon. If we make a clip out of it, it'll be just to promote the Patreon.
Okay.
We really want to start making sure that people who are already a part of the Patreon are getting their money's worth. And I know that we go live there 3 times a week and they get early access to the podcast because they're here listening and watching. I would like to make sure that they are still growing with us as we are evolving things. So you have anything else that you want to add?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. With that being said, guys, remember you are the author of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.